John, you'll be teaching an online course, Ethics Being in Danger. Can you briefly describe what the course will be about and what the title means?
Okay. That's always a good start. What does the title mean? Yeah, ethics being in danger. Well, let's take them in order here. Ethics, I think, is the chief problem we have in the world today, in the sense that we seem to have a sort of ethical free-for-all. And what I'm trying to do in this course is take Buddhism as a starting place for looking at ways of living ethically. And it's taking as a framework something which Buddhism highlights very strongly in its teaching, which is there are two main dangers. So this taps into the last part of that question, which is the danger part, which is two main dangers, which is one danger, which is eternalism, and the other danger, which is annihilationism. And that sounds quite technical, but it isn't. It just means either something is or it isn't. And that's the way we often think about things. Um, and what this is attempting to do is actually pinpoint that there is that middle way making, and not a middle way as something substantial, but a middle way making between those two extremes. Because in our thinking, we'll find ourselves, and in our lives, we'll find ourselves veering to one side or the other of these banks, if you imagine a river, of these banks of something is or something isn't. Think of the just dogmatic statements that we make in early life. It's like this, we say very, very firmly, or it isn't like that. And what we're trying to do is actually find an ethical way of living between those two extremes. The being part is the living part. What do we do? How do we live? And what I'll be drawing on in this course is obviously that foundation aspect of Buddhism, because this is the framework we are looking at it within, but also drawing on existential thinkers who I think have similar dilemmas. And because one of the things that existentialism had as a major problem was always formulating an ethics. Um, and this taps in for me into something that's really, really important. And I continue to talk about it endlessly, which is, this is the biggest task that we have. The biggest questions that we ask ourselves is how do we live? What do we do? A lovely quotation that, by the way, is from Wallace Stevens, the poet. How do we live? What do we do? But I think it really sums up the problem of how are we in this world? What does it mean to be in this world? And that for me is the important issue.